Welcome back to CBS Mornings here at 7:30. New this morning, CBS News has exclusively reviewed documents that shed more light on internal discussions among former President Trump's advisors about the possible seizure of voting machines. Those discussions were happening as they publicly alleged fraud in the 2020 election. There is no evidence of that fraud. Had this happened, it would have been an unprecedented use of federal power. Senior investigative correspondent Catherine Herridge has this story for us. Catherine, good morning to you. This would have been the federal government reaching into state-run elections for the first time in American history. What more are we learning?
Well, Tony, good morning. While it's not clear from the records what role former President Trump played in these deliberations, if any, the records do show several options were considered by his team but never executed.
Emails and records obtained by CBS News suggest there were multiple versions of draft orders that called for the seizure of voting machines after the 2020 presidential election. This draft order, dated December 17th, would have empowered the Secretary of Homeland Security to seize, collect, preserve, protect, retain, and analyze all machines. The three-page draft also granted the Homeland Security Secretary the power to immediately seek any and all search warrants to carry out and execute this directive. A day earlier, another draft order reviewed by CBS News looked to grant similar powers to the Defense Secretary. The draft, which contains one typo and no signature line for President Trump, is dated December 16th and is similar to a record previously reported by Politico. Emails indicate the draft orders were shared in mid-December among a small group advising then-President Trump, including Rudy Giuliani, former New York City Police Commissioner Bernie Kerik, former Army Colonel Phil Waldron, and retired General and Trump's former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who said this at the time about the president's options.
I mean, he could immediately, on his order, seize every single one of these machines around the country on his order.
In one email, Flynn writes, "Fix the spelling error in the title. Ensure it gets a legal review. But this is ready to go from my standpoint." Kerik told CBS News the draft orders were circulated by Waldron to members of both the Giuliani legal team and a group under attorney Sidney Powell as they discussed ways to preserve evidence. Both teams filed unsuccessful litigation over what they claimed to be election fraud. Kerik said he was on a call where Giuliani asked Ken Cuccinelli, then acting Deputy Secretary of Homeland Security, if his department had the authority to seize the ballot machines. According to Kerik, Cuccinelli told Giuliani no. Cuccinelli did not respond to CBS's questions. While neither of the draft orders was implemented, a member of the Select Committee investigating the January 6th riots said the discussions are concerning.
This was one more avenue that he explored, issuing an executive order that would authorize either the Department of Justice or Homeland Security or the Department of Defense just to go out and seize a state's election machinery. Obviously, there's no law providing for that.
And CBS News also asked for comment from General Flynn, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, and Phil Waldron, but they did not respond, Tony.
Catherine Herridge for us. Catherine, thank you very much. I mean, the security of American elections, guys, rests in part on a paper trail and state-run elections. This would have been an unprecedented reach of the federal government into that system, and it would have brought our country into uncharted territory.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. And if you want more on this, you can go to our podcast. You can always get the morning's news by subscribing to our CBS Mornings On The Go podcast. Here are today's top stories in less than 20 minutes. That is a great deal, as Gayle likes to say.
Yes.